Moonsault Slayer, Heavenly GM, I carried. No, you're not.
A couple of days ago, Street Fighter 6 hit 6 million copies sold. That is a huge milestone. When I saw that number, it would remind me of when Tekken 7 hit 6 million copies sold, and then how that game continued to hit 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, even though that game was kind of being amplified by the pandemic, that game got a bonus off of that. I don't think we will see a fighting game for a very long time that hits 12 million, but just 6 million kind of brings back that idea of like, wow, now we're really getting into the big numbers, because when you think of fighting games, you think of like 2 mil, 3 mil. Once you cross 5, hit 6, fire. But I was simply looking at this 6 million copies sold, and I tweeted, Tekken, you're on the clock. And the reason why I did this is because, the developers were very proud. They were very celebratory for the fact that Tekken 8 was selling faster than Tekken 7. But we're now reaching that point where that is no longer true. And a lot of people were saying the only reason that Tekken 8 was selling faster than 7 is because it was building off of the momentum of 7. I really want to see these guys hit 4 million copies very soon. I thought Armor King would be the thing that did it. It didn't happen. I don't think Marizu will be the thing that does it, just based off how divisive she is online. Some people are very excited. Some people couldn't care less. But I do hope that that character is popular, successful regardless, because what we're talking about today is only going to become more of a reality if that character is too evasive, too unga, too bunga, too Tekken 8. But the main difference between why Street Fighter 6 gets praise and their community is somewhat happy versus why Tekken is not, I personally boil it all down to one thing, and that is the developers and the way that they interacted on Twitter. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, why are the developers so silent right now? Why aren't they giving us any communication? But personally, I kind of think it's better this way. They've shot themselves in the foot a lot of times throughout season 2, and I have one tweet here that I want to show you guys that kind of summarizes it all. Why don't we have a discussion after actually playing the updated game? Or if you haven't played the new version yet but still choose to express such strong anger and disappointment towards us, saying you can no longer trust us, then I won't stop you from leaving. And since you don't seem capable of having a calm discussion, I'd also keep my distance from you. Thank you and goodbye. So I was on stream and I was looking at other tweets from Harada because I was trying to find this tweet. And while I was trying to find this tweet, I was just looking at how many times Harada gets into these arguments with players and is telling players off and is telling players they're wrong and just is bickering back and forth. And one thing we know about the internet is that is the worst thing to do. Once you start fighting back and once you start pushing back, the people smell blood and they're going to start really amplifying as well. They're going to treat it like a real fight, like a real war, like a real battle, like you want the smoke. And that's what we've seen throughout season 2, where the developers were trying to be, big, bad, and tough. And then the players amplified that energy, and now the developers have gone silent. Now, I won't go over all of the problems that season 2 faced. We did that many times before. Installs plus on block, heat mix-ups, combo damage, wall travel, tail spins, new moves. It's a lot of things that factor to what Tekken 8 is now, and we've seen so many players quit because of it. I wish I could list out all of the pro players who quit or who decreased their participation in the Tekken World Tour because of season 2, but there's too many names to list. But the names of content creators who stepped away from Tekken, I have here: Arsenal T, Buff Guy, Aris, Blastoslami, Frame Whisper, Risky Luck, Mariu, and Trizzy the Rapper. Those are just some of the names I could think of people who quit Tekken 8 because of the current state of the game. And if you guys know any more, definitely comment down below, because I was just trying to tally up how many people actually left this game because it's just not doing what the players want. But also another portion of this conversation that I think is very important to speak on as well is how a lot of people don't feel that way. When we look at the active weekly player count of Tekken 8, you can see that it's kind of doing better than season 1. Not everyone is quitting, not everyone is hating the game, but there is some people who are very notable in the player base who are speaking out against it. The newest person we can add to this list that is frustrated about Tekken 8 and its current state is the great High Buff Gigas Please. This person is very unique because it's not all about like labbing, it's not all about skill. This person adds a side to Tekken that I think we desperately need. High Buff Gigas kind of bridged the gap between like a casual, competitive, and this is why his channel, his profile, his Twitter and all that stuff is so big. But when you look at his tweet, he says, kind of burned out from Tekken. I don't know if season 3 could gain back my interest for this game. Speaking on season 3 real quick, it should release around April if they keep keep the same timeline going, because season 1 and season 2 both released in that late March, early April phase, so season 3 probably will do the same. But also, if you talk about how some people have been detached from this franchise for months now, will you be able to bring them back? Will you be able to win them over? The reason why I talked about Harada arguing with people on Twitter at the beginning of this video is because that was a main contributor to players losing hope. When Michael Murray are blocking people for giving good criticism, people think like, oh yeah, the game is balanced and they're blocking people, all hope is lost. Another thing that I want to tackle when we look at this tweet, High Buff Giga says, kind of burnt out. Tekken, I understand it's a niche game. It doesn't have the most biggest player base. The developers isn't the most massive team, but I do think that they should try to find ways besides just adding characters into the game to get people to play seasons. I know other games do like limited time game modes. Here's a tweet that I made from a while ago where I was just throwing out ideas of game modes that they could cycle in and out of the Tekken Lounge to generate hype and excitement and to bring players back. When you talk about a mid-season update, when you talk about a character update, don't just do a shop update, don't just do a battle pass, but also throw in a retro Tekken game, a retro Bandai Namco game, a boss battle, time attack, team battle, add a ×2 speed mode like Tekken 7, a no heat mode, Mokujin mode, 3v3 mode, an arcade leaderboard high score, time attack type mode. These are some of the things that players would love, and it's not about balancing, it's not about this, it's not about that, it's about fun. Someone responds to this High Buff Giga's tweet and says, man, even top content creators can't find the energy to keep going. What is actually going on in Namco, bro? I am feeling like Tekken 8 could easily been the best Tekken to drop. How are they fumbling this bad? And when you talk about the missed opportunity, the potential, this game could have been like a banger, bro. It sold 2 million copies in the first month because that was potential, that was excitement. If I was Bandai Namco and I seen this tweet from High Buff Gigas going out, I would be panicking. I would have been panicking, but it's like, you wonder what will it take for them to finally be like, oh my god, we need to do something. They told us already that Tekken 7 wanted to sell 12 million copies if it wasn't for the tournaments, and tournaments is dominated by pro players, amplified by content creators. If those two groups of people aren't satisfied, we will see tournaments take a huge hit, like we kind of already have, where some people don't even care to watch them. To kind of show you what I mean, you have Fergus, one of the best Oscar players on the planet, who says, I know this is very overstated sentiment, but man, I feel really dissociated from Tekken 8. Losing feels really awful and random, and winning feels very empty, especially with Asuka. This is exactly how I felt in season 1 with Yoshimitsu. His combo damage was so high to where you just win and then you feel nothing afterwards. Fergus goes on to say she felt way more satisfying in previous games when she was more defined as a character. Now, meh. And this is the problem with streamlining every character. I know at lower levels, players aren't really maximizing these characters. They're not really like doing perfect attacks, so the streamlined isn't really taken. I think a lot of people would learn a lot if they go back and watch a purple rank play Tekken. They are playing Tekken in a very random, sporadic, and chaotic way, and they're not tapping into a lot of the broken things that we're discovering. They're not doing run into spam with Claudio. They're not doing Claudio Shoryuki. They're not doing taunt heat smash. They're not doing poison breath setups at the wall, low unblockable setups at the wall. The purple ranks is playing a much different style of Tekken just because of the skill difference. And I think a lot of the changes that was added to Tekken was, one, to simplify the game, to increase their experience. You can argue whether that's a good or a bad thing, but I also think another thing that they did with this game was they tried to force the pro players to play a certain type of way. They didn't like all the backdashing and all the stalling that happened in Tekken 7, even though what caused that is them buffing characters' combos, combo damage, and giving them insane counter hits. But then also, they continue to add to the problem with characters like Kunimitsu and Fakaram and Zafina that showed up in season 3 and season 4 once the problems were obvious. How can you say Korean backdashing was the problem in Tekken 7, but then add DLC characters who have the best backdashing and the best counter hit tools and the best keep out tools, right? Launch Leroy with that 1-inch punch, right? This is why players played the way that they did. It wasn't by choice, it was by fear in a way. And if the developers know that to be true, why would they make the game this way?